part two of the France 24 debate, we're discussing the Up All Night movement. Hundreds, thousands now of people occupying the Place de la République in central Paris, a spontaneous citizen movement that for the last 10 days has been underlining everything they feel is wrong with this country. Does it have staying power? Can it impact the way politics are done here? My guests to answer those questions are David Graeber, leading figure of Occupy Wall Street. Axel Tessandier is with us, founder of Axel Agency. Laura Slimani, president of Young European Socialists, will come to you in just a moment. And Margot Callon, fellow in science communication at the French research lab CNRS. Laura Slimani, I come to you now because, of course, we've got to examine what appears to be a clash between the young people of today and the traditional political system. They feel that they're not adequately represented. They feel that their voice, at least the people who are at Place de la République right now, feel that their voice would be better carried in those sort of forums that they're holding, rather than in through the traditional political system. As a politician, is that something that worries you?
No, it enthusiasts me a lot. I mean, I think the discussion that we're having at the moment is passionating, and I'm really happy to see this happening because, you know, I've been active in politics for the past 6 years, trying to engage with young people in front of high schools, in front of many different places, to try and engage in political discussion and hear out what they have to say. And this really reflects on what people tell us, which is politicians don't represent us anymore. We know what they're on about, which is power and money, and they don't care about us. And so I'm really happy that this is actually taking a concrete realization. It's being realized at the moment concretely. So, I mean, of course, you know, I'm very happy. I'm for democracy, and I think that it's obvious that the French democracy is in pain at the moment. So I'm really happy to see that this positive mobilization movement is starting and maybe creating something different in politics. And I'm going to go there probably tonight because I haven't had a chance. I was just coming back from abroad to see what's happening for real and to look from afar. And I think it's really important that politicians who are involved in political parties at the moment take a step back and look at what's going on and do not judge things like it has been the case so far. I've heard many politicians saying that, you know, being very despiteful regarding this movement. I think they're wrong to be despiteful about it because something is happening.
But you are president of a youth socialist movement.
Yes.
If this movement ends up taking power away from the socialists here in France, for instance, is that something that wouldn't bother you?
I mean, you're asking me a question that I cannot answer you because I don't know where I'll be in 2 years. And I mean, these people are
I'm saying
citizens,
as a political
so it's just called
operative,
democracy,
as a political operative for socialists, are you not worried that this could undermine?
You know, I'm not the piece of a game. I'm not the piece of a puzzle, without being able to move. I'm part of society, so I'm happy that these discussions are taking part, and if they grow, I will take part in them as well and discuss with people on an equal footing. And I don't see the problem in being involved in politics at the moment. And you know, many youth organizations, and especially the one that I'm part of, the Young European Socialists, have been questioning for so long the way that our political party works, the way that politics work, the way that our democratic system is not democratic. So I'm so happy to see that this sparkle is finally coming, because it's obviously not going to come from us. You know,
Why? Hold on. You're president of the Young European Socialists, and you're saying it's not going to come from us?
I'm saying we can be part of it, but I think that the change has to come from the people. And I don't think that...
But you're supposed to represent the people.
Well, when I got involved 6 years ago in politics, there was no Nuit Debout, but maybe if Nuit Debout existed, I would have gone there first of all, you know? So I took part in a political organization that I thought represented my views, that I could have a say in, and I found a really great
You sound like you're disillusioned
organization.
and you no longer believe that's the case.
I mean, of course I'm disillusioned, but I'm still fighting the fight. I'm still trying to make things better from where I stand. But I'm also happy that people are trying to do it in a different way, and maybe they're going to be more successful than me, and I'm very happy about it because we all want to transform the system.
Well, I don't want to take away any of your enthusiasm and certainly not attack you gratuitously. That's not the point. But what's interesting in talking to you, what's interesting in talking to you is that you're part of the political machinery, widely speaking. And it sounds like you're telling us that, in fact, it's better to sidestep the system.
But I want to transform the system. I'm not in the political machine to make money or to be elected or for myself. I want to change society for the better. I want people to have housing. I want us to save the environment and to save the planet.
But my question is, years ago, when you made your life decisions, you decided for yourself that joining a political party was the good, most efficient way to do that. Are you telling us today that you feel that's no longer the case?
I think it's one way to do it, but clearly political parties are not enough at the moment. And if they are pushed in the right direction by citizens' movements, then that's for the that's a good thing.
Okay. So this has got to take us then to what does this movement become? And I know that some of the people who are at Place de la République have resisted this question, and they felt that it was a trap. Do you feel the same way?
Well, it's very complicated because, as I say, it's a very diverse movement with very different people, and it's very early. We have to repeat that it's just 10 days old. So, of course, people want to take action and wants to see where is it going, because it's threatened right now of collapsing. So, but it's not the right moment to ask this question.
So you feel it needs more time?
It needs more
become
time.
more mature?
It needs more time. Just to ask the question, shall it become a political party?
But Axel, you were talking about potentially it being just nothing more than a daydream earlier. Isn't that the one question that needs to be asked, is what will become of this?
No, but dreaming is very important in politics. No, but it matters a lot. Yes. Like when you talk, I feel you are ready to join WIBAUX.
Probably.
In a way. And you saw also political party. Yeah. It's only representing like not even 1% of the French population anymore. Like if you talk about members of political party, they represent nothing anymore. And also I just wanted to ask about diversity, and it's a real question, because many people say, if you look at the image, is it really diverse? Do you have really like many people like from, I don't know, like coming from everywhere, or is it just young, white, and pretty like... You know what I mean? Is it really diverse?
The two sides of that argument have been put forward in the media. One saying that it's actually a very homogenous group, same kind of social class, which tends to be upscale, well-educated, white inner-city kids. And I have also read from other people who've been at the Place de la République that they say this is a broad cross-section of society. What's your take on this?
It's a real question I have. Like, I really want to understand, like, is it really that diverse? Do you represent, like...
Well, over the course of the week, there's plans for having similar meetings all over the suburbs. And people are very, very excited about that. And those neighborhoods are mobilizing
because the suburbs are not there. Like,
well,
they feel they are not invited in it, and they feel they're so far from...
Why do you say that they feel that they're not invited?
Because that's what they say. Like, if you read about it, like in the article and everything, they say, it's too far from us.
Who said that?
Like young people in the suburb, but I'm not an expert. I just say what I heard,
there's already one, and there's going to be definitely 7 and up to 20 more just this week planned in the suburbs. So it's going to be happening now.
Also,
that's the next phase.
Starting in different cities of France, which I think is interesting because given the French history and the kind of very centralized country we have, it's really important that it also kind of spreads out to different areas. And regarding the suburbs...
And it has spread to dozens of cities across France.
Yes, exactly. And it will probably continue. But regarding the suburbs, I mean, I think it's always the question that we ask ourselves. But before asking whether WIBAUX is representative, you asked, okay, is the National Assembly representative?
Exactly.
WIBAUX is way more representative than the National Assembly.
Of course.
So it's already a step ahead. And then the question is, yes, how does everyone feel welcome in this? And it is a challenge.
And also, I have another question. Like, do you feel you have more people coming day after day, or it's just some kind of crowd? Like, do you feel you are growing? Like, something is really happening, like, organically? Or do you feel same kind of people, same kind of like community coming every day? Or do you feel you're like spreading?
No, you feel there are more and more diversity.
Number of people, I thought.
Number of people also, but more diversity as well. I just want to come back to what you were saying. Of course, and I agree that it was very homogeneous, and it is true. Like, you can't deny. And after 2 or 3 days, people started to mention it and say, we shouldn't stay in the entre-soi. We shouldn't stay together. We have to go towards the other. So people were very quickly aware of that problem and starting to think, how can we reach these other people? And yesterday and the day before, there were many associations coming from the suburb and from the neighborhood, the poorest neighborhood, to say, hey, let's go there and let's talk with the kids. So it's not a matter of like, yes, it is homogeneous. Yes, it is. But there are efforts that are being made.
It's a big topic in France, the lack of diversity, the lack of representation, and these young people that feel like outside society. I think you should debate the topic a lot, you know.
All right, hold on. We're going to go, in fact, we're going to find out what they're debating right now. We're going to go to Place de la République. Aurore Dupuis for France 24 is standing by there. Aurore, can you give us a sense of what they're talking about specifically behind you in those general assemblies? I understand everybody gets 3 minutes of talking time.
Absolutely, but some of them actually use more time to speak about the issues that they take to heart. But we were right in the middle of the General Assembly where suddenly the Speaker said to everyone that police officers had confiscated speakers, loudspeakers. And so the whole crowd, all the protesters, hundreds of them, literally stormed across the Place de la République, went towards the police officers and demanded peacefully that the loudspeakers were returned to them. They were chanting for a good 10 minutes. And in the end, they actually won that battle because the police officers did return the loudspeakers to them.
You've got people cheering on set. It's certainly an interesting example of how this movement, obviously on a very small scale, but how this movement has been getting results. David, is that akin to perhaps what you experienced in Wall Street with the Occupy movement years ago?
Oh, absolutely. You have to do it gradually, and you have to make everybody know who's the good guys, you know, and that's what we did.
Now, I'd like to ask the question of whether this is similar to something like the Indignados in Spain, because it's the anti-model of Occupy. Occupy has sort of stayed in the background, but not become an organization that is entrenched in politics, whereas the Indignados became the Podemos political party.
Some of them did.
Well, some of them did.
Yes.
Well, it certainly gave rise to the Podemos political party in Spain, which had a very strong showing in the recent parliamentary elections and has totally upended the political landscape there. And perhaps this question should go to Laura Slimani. Do you hope that this particular movement could end up being the French Podemos or the French Syriza?
I think it's a wrong question to know if something is going to become the French Podemos or Syriza. France is a society with its own history, with its own sociology, with its own problems, and people have to find the solutions for themselves and the right answers to the questions they're facing. But what I think is that Podemos in Spain or Syriza in Greece have created a new political dynamic in the country that I would like to see in France at the moment. I'm not going to lie and tell you that I'm very happy about the French socialist government and what they have been doing. I have been saying it
that puts you in the majority
of
French people.
For many years, and it probably, yes, does put me in the majority of people. So I think that, you know, I think that we need more politics. And this is about politics, much more than sometimes many political debates you see on TV. So this is why I'm looking at it with very attentive eyes.
Why do I get the sense that nobody around this table, apart from perhaps you, Axel, is really bothered by the fact that for the moment there is no concrete political result to show for this, because it's been 12 days.
It's not like we have this computer culture where you think you push a button and something's supposed to happen. Social movements take time. The first thing you have to do is open up the imagination. These people are asking the wrong questions. The political authorities aren't even talking about the things most people care about. And I think the underlying principle behind all of these movements...
My question is, do you feel that Occupy was successful?
Well, I mean...
Does it influence politics today?
Yeah.
Has it changed the way politics are done?
Look at this. Every country which had a major Occupy movement now has a political insurgency bringing those same issues onto the national stage. The important thing, though, is to think that's not what Occupy was about. I mean, you look at Bernie Sanders in America, you look at Corbyn in England. These are all places that had strong occupies. You look at Podemos in Spain, you have Greece, Syriza. Now, I'm not saying that's the only thing they accomplished, because if that was the only thing they accomplished, that would be very sad. What they accomplished was a broader popular mobilization, unleashing of imagination and ideas. And one of the effects of those is politicians will start taking those ideas up, because that's what politicians do. But you can't destroy the fount of creativity, because the basic principle that all of these movements is based on is the notion that people aren't stupid, that people actually know what's going on in their lives, and they have ideas. And it's not that we don't have solutions to the problems that face us today. It's often represented as if, oh, we have all these terrible problems. There's global warming, there's financial problems, there's social problems. You know, if only there was some creative person who could come up with answers. No, people have answers. The problem, There's almost nobody in the world that hasn't had at least one creative idea that none of us would have thought of that would solve some problem. The problem is, 99.9% of them are told to shut up all the time.
Yeah.
You need to open things up, so have a space where people can listen to each other, where nobody's telling them to shut up. And you'll be amazed what kind of things come out.
So you unleash the creativity, and then it feeds naturally into the sort of mainstream political system, right?
Institutions either have to react or show themselves to be utterly illegitimate and collapse.
No, so first, I really love the fact that you use the word imagination a lot, because it's really about that, like what kind of society we can imagine together, but about creativity. And also, I really agree when people take back power on their life, it's so inspiring. And it's really about that, like, I don't have to rely on someone else. I have creativity. I can propose something. But creativity is really about, you need a deadline, you need the discipline, you need a structure. I'm a creative person. This is my job. I cannot be creative if I don't have any structure. It's impossible for me, but maybe I'm the only one. You need a direction, you need a structure, you need deadlines, you need... But this is my vision of creativity. Also, I wanted to talk about when you say it's really about politics. It's so much about politics, and it's really inspiring and nice to see young people like we are so like excited about politics. You say we don't vote. We don't vote because we don't feel represented, but we want like to be involved so much. And talking about Podemos, symbol matter. And when they arrived in the Spanish parliament, it was so nice to see all these young people, like, in this place.
With long hair.
When you look in at... No, but that's funny. Also. You even had a woman with a baby. She came with her baby and everything was like... I shared it everywhere. I was like, God, look at us. And look at them. And I was jealous. It's like... Again,
this goes back to your idea of representativity and
yes, how... of course. And I think it's very nice, like, to see this kind of people, young people, fresh ideas. Like, I think, even if we don't agree on everything, we agree that this kind of movement asks the right questions. Yeah. Then we don't know if we have the same solution, all of us, but they ask the right question, and it's super important. And I hope that, like, you will go inside, and that one day I will see, like, young people, young lady, like this kind of thing we saw, we see in Spain. I think it's super inspiring.
It is true that it's not underlined enough. Like, it's not in the mouth of the politicians, not enough in the media. That it is still something super positive to see, like, young people in high school industry to reivindicate something, and they're aware. Maybe their ideas are not clear. Maybe it's not structured, but it's still young people that care about what are we going to do collectively for the future, and that should be underlined every day.
Have you seen traditional politicians there? When you've been?
You see some of them, but they are very careful. Like, they don't
They're
announce,
low-key.
they don't say that they're going to come because they don't want to be accused of récupération politique.
It's going to happen anyway.
What happens?
Jean-Luc Mélenchon is already starting. Like, of
but
course
is it going to work? I mean, yeah. Like, I at the moment I'm reading this book by Gloria Steinem, who's a great American feminist, and she's telling her story as an organizer of the feminist movement in the US, and she was basically also trying to help these kind of movements develop and gain things. And I just wrote this quote because I think it's really interesting in this debate, which is one of the simplest paths to deep change is for the less powerful to speak as much as they listen, and for the most powerful to listen as much as they speak. And if this movement achieves part of that, then we will have already come a long way, and then hopefully it can also bring something new.
Members, you're president of the Young European Socialists. Are there members of this group that have been talking to you about this and asking you what it's like in France, what this movement is like, or has it not really hit the European radar yet?
No, it has. I mean, and the proof is that also France 24 English is speaking about it. So it has, but it's obviously taking a bit longer. But people are really interested in French politics, like, we are also interested in German politics. But we were watching very carefully what happened in Spain, what happened in Greece. And what I can tell you is that among young socialist organizations in Europe, there is a big feeling of the need for change in the socialist family and in the left in general, and the fact that the left and socialists are losing grasp with reality and with people who used to trust them. So we are really questioning what's going on in France and in other countries with our political parties. And I think this is also, showing that we're not the only ones in our political family questioning it, but it's also giving us more strength inside the socialist family to say, okay, look, these people are not happy with what we're doing. They have a lot of ideas. Let's listen to them. Let's take on some of their ideas. So, these kind of movements also gives me
So
as
this
a president of
empowers
Young
your
Socialists-
argument within the political machine.
Yes, because it's also how it works. I mean, it's also people inside who try and stir the wheel in the right direction or in a different direction. This
that
is
speaks
what
to
we're
what David
trying
was saying, that it
at the
feeds
moment.
into the system.
And I'm, and I hope maybe it will work. Maybe we will need a complete different political party to be created. Maybe I will join it. Maybe
no
I will leave the
political party.
I don't know. I can't tell you, and I hope, and it's good that I can't tell you where I'll be in the next 10 years.
Yeah, but can I ask a question?
Honestly, by the way, that's a fascinating and very honest account from the
That's
point
true.
of view of somebody who's committed to politics and who has made those life choices to say, today I'm at a crossroads and I don't really know what my
Maybe
preference is.
if there is more honesty in politics, we'll be better off. So I don't know.
I want to show you a quick poll that we did here at France 24, by the way. The question was, could this be the start of something new, what's happening in the Place de la République? And 84% of responders said yes. Now,
I voted.
often, honestly, when we ask questions for the debate, it's a little bit more balanced, but this is an overwhelming number of voters in favor of yes, the sample, 623 people voting as of the last count. Axel?
Democracy talking? No, but I mean, even me. So I saw your poll on Twitter. And I wanted to see the results, so I clicked. And I say, yes, of course. And I say, even if I have question, because I hope, and I think it's very important, as you said, something very positive, we should celebrate. And so I click yes, and I saw 85, I was like, wow. So, even people that never even, went there, they really hope, even behind their computer or their screen, they really have hope. Can I ask a question to Laura? I wanted to
It's
ask...
got to be really quick. It's got to be a yes or no.
No, but what do you think? Do you think political party will exist forever? Political party will drive politics in France forever?
I don't know, but I think democracy and politics will. Then I don't know if it will be through political parties or other instruments.
But to be honest, that was probably the hardest yes or no question that could possibly have been asked. I'd like to thank all our guests for joining us on the France 24 debate this evening. David Graeber, Axel Tessandier, Laura Slimani, Margot Callon. You can watch the debate on our website, france24.com. Stay tuned. All right, we're not done with this topic. James Creedon has joined us on set with Media Watch. James, you've been scouring the internet and social media, and you bring us the best of what you found over the last 24 hours.
That's right. So it's obviously a movement that's very present on social networks, social media. It has its own radio channel now, its own TV channel. So
the Up All Night TV, Up All Night Radio.
So without a clear leadership, it certainly has the structures in place, and those structures become all the more important, in fact. So Nuit debout, or Up All Night, these are the images of the first evening when indeed the movement was cleared off Place de la République. It had stayed there since since reform, what would you say, since protests against the labour reform movement about 10 days ago. And so this was the first time they were cleared. And you can see that what is happening this evening is apparently police are identifying and making lists of people who are joining the General Assembly. There has been, if I could find it, there was another image too showing tension with the police who were trying to block those who were gathering from bringing in sound equipment. So,
and they got it back. Our reporter just told me.
Right, impressive. It is impressive.
People power.
Not the major.
So you can see that it's still happening despite attempts to I suppose keep it in some way structured or limited. You can see here there's even a Facebook page now for Up All Night Montreal, and if you look at the various photos, this was in Bordeaux, and I'm trying to click into it there, but there's a photo in each, basically in cities all over France and indeed around Europe as well. They can't evict an idea, Place de la République Square now. That's an image that was taken a few hours ago. And what you're seeing really across social networks, if you type in Nuit debout, the hashtag is images such as this one, people power, people have the power. The word revolution coming back quite a lot as well. Libération spoke to some people who were gathering there, saying that while it is predominantly young people, you more and more see people of an older age profile coming and having a look and seeing what it's all about. They spoke to a human resources manager by the name of François, who said, I was always a brilliant student my whole life through, just the perfect sort of parcours. And there she is, and she said, everybody is just so sick of everything. Maybe we just want to feel alive again. It's a little bit...
But is this coming from an HR manager?
Yes, this is what I find the most extraordinary part of it. From if it was, you know, a 20-year-old student, okay.
Corporations, rise up.
Right. It's a little bit hazy or foggy. Flou was the word she used in French. But we are not resigned, and we feel alive. So I think that sums it up quite well. There's just this sense that people want to gather together, they want to talk publicly about something. Another couple in their 50s, Marine and Benjamin, said it's just really nice to see a lot of people take a microphone and speak publicly for the first time in their life. And there's just something actually quite beautiful about it. So that's, I think, what is... you know, getting people onto Place de la République, and obviously politicians even turning up as well, saying, maybe I want to be a part of this, even if I'm not leading it.
Yeah, Jean-Luc Mélenchon from the French far left. All right, great stuff. James Creedon, thank you very much. You've got a lot more on this.
Yes.
A lot of this on social media, and you're going to give us more later on this evening, live from Paris. Thank you very much. Thanks for our guests joining us here on the France 24 debate. Thank you for watching. We're back right after this.